Good morning, students. Welcome to your geography class. I hope all of you are well. Today, we will discuss next type of soil. As you can see, yesterday we discussed about alluvial soil, black soil, and red yellow soil. Today, we will start our discussion from laterite soil. Now, first we will discuss about from where the soil name came. Okay, what is the origin behind the name of this particular soil? So laterite has been derived from the Latin word later. Okay. So the laterite, this word has been derived from the Latin word which is later and which means brick. So the origin of this laterite word is from the Latin word later because its meaning is brick, and as you all know, the color of the laterite soil is similar to brick color. That's why it is originated from the Latin word. Okay. So laterite soil develops in the areas with high temperature and heavy rainfall. So what is the climate required for this type of laterite soil? Now, high temperature as well as heavy rainfall. This is the major climatic condition required for having laterite soil or for the development of laterite soil. This is a result of intense leaching due to heavy rain. Now, what is the meaning of leaching? Now, the meaning of leaching is when, due to heavy rainfall, the layer of the soil is going to washed out. Okay. So, due to heavy rainfall, as you have seen, now the climatic condition required for laterite soil is heavy rainfall as well as high temperature. So, when due to heavy rainfall, the layer of the soil is going to washed out. Okay, we call it leaching. So, automatically, due to heavy rainfall in the areas where we have intensely high or heavy rainfall, automatically in these areas we are going to have laterite soil. Why? Because due to heavy rainfall or high amount of rainfall, the layer of the soil is going to wash out from the area or from the region. So this is the process behind the formation of laterite soil. It required high temperature, heavy rainfall, as well as due to heavy rainfall the layer of the soil is going to washed out, which we call leaching. Now, humus content the soil is low because most of the microorganisms, particularly decomposers like bacteria, get destroyed due to high temperature. Now we have seen the reason. Behind leaching is heavy rainfall. Now what does this high temperature do? Now due to high temperature of this area, it destroyed the good bacteria, decomposers. So that's why the humus content of this soil is very much low. Why? Because of the high temperature, the bacteria or the decomposers, okay, they are destroyed. Okay, they got destroyed, so it is not possible to have a good humus. So humus content is very much low. Now, laterite soils are suitable for cultivation with adequate dose of manures and fertilizer. Now, as nowadays we are using technology in agriculture sector, so with adequate doses of manures and fertilizers as well as with the help of the equipments, it is possible nowadays to have agriculture in laterite soil. Laterite soil, basically due to less amount of humus, due to less content of humus, it's not possible to have a good agriculture. But because nowadays we are having technology, so with the help of the technology, with doses of good fertilizer and all, we can recover the soil, a part of the soil, and we can use it for some types of agriculture, not for all category, not for all types of crop we can produce here, but there are some specific crops which we can produce in laterite soil. Now these soils are mainly found in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, and the hilly areas of Odisha, and Assam. Okay, so basically the laterite soil we found mostly in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, and hilly areas of Odisha and Assam. So in these areas, basically the part of Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, and Assam, where we have heavy rainfall and high temperatures, a combination, both the combination we require, where we have high temperature as well as heavy rainfall. So this is the area where we have basically the laterite soil, and of course we also require leaching process. We also require leaching. It's not that okay, we have high rainfall, we have high temperature, so it's going to form the laterite soil. No, due to heavy rainfall, when the first layer of the soil is going to wash out from the region, then it transforms into laterite soil. Okay, I hope up to this is clear to all of you. So after adopting appropriate soil conservation techniques, okay, after using high-tech technology, particularly in hilly areas of Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, this soil is very useful for growing tea and coffee. Now, as I said, not wherever we found lateral soil is possible to have agriculture, but there are some particular regions where we can have agriculture in this lateral soil, and of course there are some specific crops only which we can grow in lateral soil. So basically it is Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, in this hilly region where we can produce tea and coffee. So for tea and coffee, basically we don't require alluvial soil. So in this laterite soil also we can grow tea and coffee. Red laterite soils in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Kerala are mostly suitable for crops of cashew nuts. So not only tea and coffee, we also can produce cashew nut in these laterite soil. So some parts of Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, we can produce also cashew nuts. So lateral soil is basically required climatic condition is high rainfall as well as high temperature. So due to heavy rainfall, leaching process happen. It means washed out the layer of the soil. Then due to high temperature, the decompose are going to destroyed. Okay, so automatically this type of soil contains very less humus, but with the help of the high-tech technology in some parts of India like Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, in these areas where we can produce some specific crops in laterite soil like tea, coffee as well as cashew nuts. Okay, next we have arid soil. Now with the name only you can understand which type of soil we are going to talk about. Now arid soil or sandy soil. Okay, so arid soils range from red to brown in color. So you can see clearly there is a type of color, there is a range of color we have in arid soil. Okay, we don't have a range of color. Yes, of course, black soil color is black, red yellow soil is reddish or yellowish, but here we are talking about the range of the color. It means brown, red to brown in color. It means, as we know, we have semi region, we have arid region. Okay, so according to that only we have a range of color of this arid soil. It's from red to brown in color. So they are generally sandy in texture and saline in nature. So yes, arid soil means they are very much sandy. So as we have seen in alluvial soil, sand, sleet and clay, they are very much proportional, but in arid soil we will found the sandy. Okay, sand comparatively sleet and clay is very much less. Very, compared to sand, sleet and clay is very much less in arid soil. So the texture of this arid soil is very much sandy. So a huge amount of sand we have, or maximum proportion of sand we have, and nature is saline. Nature is saline. So in some areas the salt content is very much high, and common salt obtained by evaporating the water. So because in this arid region, as we know, high temperature as well as we have high evaporation, so automatically this area is contains salt. High amount of common salt is obtained by evaporating the water due to dry climate. Only due to dry climate, high temperature and evaporation, the faster the soil lacks humus and moisture. As we all know that climatic condition of arid region, it is very much dry, it is high temperature, high evaporation and very less amount of rainfall. So due to this climatic condition, the soil lacks of humus and moisture. So texture is very much sandy, and salinity is very much high because of the common salt. As high evaporation we have here, so automatically due to evaporation we have common salt in a high quantity. So the texture and the salinity, the texture and the nature, which is sandy and salinity, is only because of the climatic condition, which is dry climate, high temperature, high evaporation but low rainfall. Okay, so automatically soil is lacks of humus and moisture. Now the lower horizon of the soil occupied by conker, it is also important factor of this soil, that this soil is have in the lower horizon of this soil we found conker because of increasing calcium content downwards. Okay, as we dig down this soil, we will found in the lower horizon of the soil we are having conker, small pebbles. Okay, and more we will go deep of the soil, we will found increment of calcium content. Okay, so the conker layers formation in the bottom horizon restrict the infiltration of the water. So it's a nature of the soil that because the lower horizon of the soil we are having pebbles or conkers, so in the bottom horizon restrict the infiltration of the water. As we know, in the arid region people walk 10 to 15 kilometers to have water. Okay, so in the lower horizon or in the bottom horizon of this soil where we are having this conker, it helps that it restricts the infiltration of the water. After proper irrigation, these soils become cultivable as begin in the case of Rajasthan, West Rajasthan. So as in the lower horizon of the soil, so after proper irrigation this soil, okay, it is possible to cultivate or because yes, because only high tech technology, and in some parts of Rajasthan where we have the water, where it's possible to have irrigation system only in, it is only basically in western Rajasthan where it is possible to have cultivation. Okay, so there are some specific region of this desert area in arid soil where we can produce, but as you know, here agriculture system does not mean we can produce paddy, wheat, okay, or these type of crops. There are very limited type of crop only we can produce. Okay, so arid soil basically we have in the climatic region of dry, where we have high temperature, high evaporation but low rainfall, and the texture of the soil is very much sand, so sand proportion is very much high over here. It contains salt. Okay, calcium content is very much high over here. The salinity is much more in nature, and the in the bottom horizon where we have the conkers or pebbles, it restrict the infiltration of the water. So this is all about the arid soil. Now lastly we have the forest soil. Okay, this is the last soil we have. Within the name only you can understand, forest soil. It means in the forest region we will found this type of soil. So this soil are found in hilly and mountain areas where sufficient rainforests are available. So in the hilly areas of India and mountain areas, okay, where we have sufficient amount of rainforest, where we have this forest soil. So soil for this type of soil, forest soil, texture varies according to the mountain environment. As you know, altitude wise mountain climate is also changed. Okay, we have in our previous class where we are discussing about the natural vegetation, we have seen that according to altitude also the mountain varieties changes. So this type of soil, mountain soil, is varies according to the mountain environment where they are formed. So they are loamy and slitty in valley sides. So forest soil is basically loamy and silty in valley sides. Okay, coarse grained in upper slopes. So in valley region it is very much loamy and silty, and coarse grain, very much coarse, fine in upper areas or upper slope. So the snow covered areas of Himalaya, these soils experience denudation, are acidic and with low humus. So as the area is covered with full snow, so there is no humus, there is so experience of denudation, and of course the erosion activity is continuous over there. So this area is very acidic with low humus content because of the uh, snow, because of the erosional activity there is very less humus. Now the soil found in lower part of the valleys, particularly of the river terrace and alluvial fans, are fertile. So you have seen, as altitude varies in mountain region, okay, from the snow bounded area to foothills area, soil type also change. So basically in the river valley region where we found loamy and silty kind of soil, but in the upper slope areas what we found very coarse grained, very fine type of soil. In the snow covered area of Himalaya where we have mostly the glaciers, okay, it is very acidic and very low humus content. And in the foothills areas of Himalaya where we have basically river terrace, we have the alluvial soil, because this is the place where rivers started their depositional activity. So according to the altitude of the mountains, the soil type also varies. So forest soil is not a particular type of soil where we which we have. It's very much different from each other according to the altitude, what where we are getting, okay, where we are getting the soil. According to that, this type of soil is very much different from each other. It's not having a single characteristics. it this type of forest soil is having multiple characteristics, not a single type. It is having multiple type of characteristics. So I hope this soil is clear to all of you, that forest soil is not a particular type of soil. In different altitude wise where we have different mountain, the climate of the mountain is different, so according to that we have different types of soil, okay, and according to that only we have their different characteristics. Okay, now we'll discuss about the soil erosion and conservation. Now first we'll discuss what is soil erosion, so then we can go for soil conservation. So what is soil erosion? The denudation of the soil cover and subsequent washing down is described as soil erosion. So when the layers of the soil is going to washed out or washed down, okay, is known as soil erosion. It can be natural, it can be it can be human, it can be anything, okay. So due to any natural or human process, when the layer of the soil is going to wash down from a region, it means the quantity or the layers of the soil is going to decrease. This is known as soil erosion. This process of soil formation and erosion goes simultaneously, and generally there is a balance between two. Okay, so yes, of course, if it is a soil erosion, if it is a natural process, then it goes simultaneously, means erosional and depositional activity. Like every single year when we have flood, okay, so it means it is going to washed out due to flood. Automatically, due to heavy quantity of the water, it is going to wash out the soil from the region. But as we know, due to after cooling down, okay, after the flood also we are getting the alluvium, okay, or alluvial in the river basin area. It is covered because the rivers are coming from the mountain regions, carrying a huge amount of alluvium, stones, pebbles, all these things, okay. So as due to flood, the soil is going to wash down from that area maybe, but it is also going to do the depositional activity, okay. When the water, okay, the flood water is going down, okay, it decreases the water level. We can see it also, we have already the deposition activity of alluvium. So if it is a natural process, if soil erosion is a natural process, then it is go simultaneously side by side, and it automatically create a balance between erosion activity and deposition activity. Okay, sometimes there is a balance between two. Sometimes the balance is disturbed due to human activities. So as I said, if it is a natural process, if it is a natural activity, then automatically both the things will go side by side, and it will create it will have the balance. So we will have the balance. But if it is human made, okay, if it is human activities, if it is human activities like deforestation, overgrazing, construction, mining, etc., then it is not possible. So overgrazing, deforestation, construction, mining, etc., etc., there are so many reasons behind it, okay, which can create a problem of soil erosion. Okay, so while natural forces like wind, glacier, water lead soil erosion, the running water cuts through. Okay, so we have seen there is two category: natural category and human made category. Okay, so human made categories are or human activities are deforestation due to overgrazing or due to construction or mining. Okay, if we are going for soil erosion, it will never create the balance, it will always disturb the balance of the ecosystem. Okay, so the glacier and the water leads to soil erosion. So forces like natural forces like wind, glacier and water and running water also, okay, it disturb the soil erosion. Now the running water cuts through the clay soil, makes deep channel which is known as gullies. Now the running water when in a clay soil creates a deep channel, a deep cracks, okay, which is known as gullies. It's a geographical term that running water when runs through the clay soil, it creates a very deep channel, okay, we call it gullies. Now this land becomes unfit for the cultivation when due to running water it creates a deep channel over the soil, it creates gully, and this became, and that's why became land is uncultivated, okay, it's not good for the cultivation or unfit for the cultivation. So that time the land is known as bad land. So when due to gullies, when due to formation of gullies, land became very much unfit, land became very much unfit for the cultivation, it's not possible to have cultivation over there, we call it bad land. And these type of bad land is very much common in Chambal basin areas. In Chambal basin areas of India, these type of badlands are very common, which is formed by gullies only. And these type of badlands are known in this Chambal basin area in ravines. Okay, so gullies are what? Now the running water when flow through the clay soil. So the running water cuts through the clay soil and will make a deep channel which form gully. Due to this gullies, when the land became very much unfit for the cultivation, we call it bad land. And these are the bad land. It's very common in Chambal basin area where local it is known as ravines. Okay. Now water flows a sheet over. Okay, so we talked about soil erosion. Now there are one more type of erosion. Now the due to water flow as a sheet of over large areas down a slope. In such cases, the topsoil washed away, and this is known as sheet erosion. So soil erosion basically when the whole area soil is going to slowly is going to washed out or washed down from the area. But here sheet erosion means layer by layer, when layer by layer slowly, okay, a large areas soil like a sheet, a very thin sheet like, okay, when it's going to washed away due to, it can be water, it can be due to heavy rainfall, it can be due to wind movement, it can be glacier, due to any reason, when the layer of the soil, okay, very thin like layer from a large area is going to washed out of the layer, okay, of the region is known as sheet erosion. So wind blows loses soil of flat or sloping land known as wind erosion. Now when due to wind movement the soil is going to wash down. So when due to wind the soil is going to wash out from the area, that is known as wind erosion. Okay, so we talked about the erosions. Now we will go for the conservation process. Okay, what are the steps we should take to control the soil erosion. How we can conserve our soil? Now, plugging along the contour lines can deculturate the flow of the water down the slope. This is known as contour plugging. Okay. Now, in the same areas, okay, height in hilly region, basically the height was those areas are common, we can plug the areas, okay, and we can cut like a terrace like shape, we can cut the steps and we can control the flow of the water. This is known as contour plugging. So it means the areas of the hilly region which is having the same height almost, we can cut like a steps, we can start agriculture over there, we can start plugging over there only to control, and this is going to help to control the flow of the water. This is known as contour plugging. Second, steps can be cut on the slopes making terrace. Terrace cultivation restricts erosion. So yes, we can also, as you can see, we can also cut steps in a large areas, in a large number, and form terrace like structure, and it also will control the erosion. Basically in hilly region, due to heavy flow of the water, due to heavy flow of the river only, we are facing the problem of erosion. So if we are going to go for steps, if we are going to cut the hilly region like a steps, it will form like a terrace like feature, and it will help to control the speed of the water, it will control the flow of the water, and it will help to restrict the erosion. Now, western and central Himalaya have well developed terrace farming. So basically in the western and central Himalayas of India, we have this type of agriculture, okay, this type of soil conservation activity. Now, large fields. Now, next, what we can do? The large fields can be divided into two strips. Okay, it can be divided into parts or two strips. Strips of the grass are left to grow between the crops. So, in between the crops, if we are going to create strips, it will help to grow grasses, and this will control. This will control the force of the wind. It will break down the flow of the wind or the force of the wind. Okay, this is also very much helpful. So in the region, in the areas where we have the erosion, soil erosion due to wind activity, if we are facing the problem of erosion, so we can go for that. Now we can divide the land into strips, and in between the crops, if we are going to have the strips and we are leaving the strips to grow itself the grasses, so automatically the grass will help to break down the force of the wind. Okay, so it will control the wind erosion. This method is known as strip cropping. Now, planting lines of trees to create shelter also work as similarly. So if we are going to create rows, okay, if we are going to create rows, and rows we are going to plant long trees, it will help also again to break down the force of the wind, it will control the speed of the wind, and it will work like a shelter. Okay, it will work like a shelter. These type of rows of trees known as shelter belts. Okay, these type of rows are known as shelter belts. So we have seen now to control the soil erosion by water, we can go for terrace farming, we can go for contour plugging. Okay, if we have wind erosion, basically we can go for shelter belts, as well as we can go for strip cropping. These shelter belts have contributed significantly establishment of the sand dunes and stabilizing in desert of Western India. So as we know, in desert area, basically we don't have any glacier, we don't have heavy rainfall. Okay, so what is the reason behind the erosion? It is only wind. So in desert area or arid region or any dry place, when we are having wind erosion, so we can create rows and we can plant some trees which is going to break down the force of the wind. So we have seen, we have erosion. Okay, we have soil erosion due to some natural activities, due to some human made activities. Okay, so we have seen the conservation. Okay, of course the most common is afforestation. We can plant trees as much as we can. That's the first and very common thing which we can do. But in specific region, like in mountain region or in desert region or semi region, we can use these process also to conserve our soil. Okay, so I hope this video helps you to understand today's topic. We will discuss your further chapter in your next class. Thank you, students. Thank you for watching today's video.